Imagine you're sitting in a quiet cafe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air. And across the table from you is none other than Bill Gates. No cameras, no press, just two people having a conversation. You take a sip of your coffee, look at him, and ask, "So, Bill, if you had to sum up everything you've learned about technology, business, and the future in one book, what would it be?" He smiles and says, "Well, that's what Source Code is all about." Welcome to Door Talk, the journey to explore pearls of wisdom. In today's episode, we're diving into the book Source Code by Bill Gates, which is a collection of Gates' thoughts on AI, climate change, global health, and even his biggest regrets. It's the kind of conversation you'd want to have if you've ever got the chance to pick his brain over coffee. So let's pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, and get into it. Today's episode, we're diving into the book Source Code by Bill Gates, which is a collection of Gates' thoughts on AI, climate change, global health, and even his biggest regrets. It's the kind of conversation you'd want to have if you've ever got the chance to pick his brain over coffee. So let's pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, and get into it. So I asked him, "Bill, when you started Microsoft, did you ever imagine a world where AI could write essays and cars could drive themselves?" He chuckles. "Well, back then, just getting a computer into someone's house was a big deal. But yeah, AI is the next big thing. It's as transformative as PC was in 80s or internet in 90s. I lean in. Okay, but are we ready for it? I mean, people are worried about AI replacing jobs. Gates nods. That's the thing. AI is powerful, but it's only as good as the people who build and regulate it. If we don't guide its development responsibly, we'll have problems. But if we do, AI could help solve some of the biggest challenges, like disease, education, and even climate change." I take a sip of my coffee. "So you're saying AI isn't the villain, it's how we use it." He smiles. "Exactly." I look at him and say, "Let's be real. You spend years talking about climate change, but a lot of people still don't see it as urgent. Why do you think that is?" He sighs. "Because it's not an immediate crisis like a war or pandemic. It's a slow-moving disaster. But here's the thing. If we don't act now, the damage will be irreversible." "So what's the solution?" I ask. "Recycling, driving electric cars?" He shakes his head. "Those help, but they're not enough. We need breakthrough technology like nuclear fusion, carbon capture, and clean energy is as cheap as fossil fuels. That's the only way we'll get the entire world to switch." I raise an eyebrow. "So basically, the next Bill Gates won't be a software guy. It'll be someone solving climate change." He grins. "That's the hope." I take another sip of my coffee and ask, "Okay, I have to bring this up. Back in 2015, you warned that a pandemic was coming, and then, well, COVID happened. How did you know?" He shrugs. "Honestly, it wasn't a prediction. It was just obvious. Scientists had been saying for years that a virus could spread globally, and we weren't prepared. We had no rapid response system, no global coordination. It was only a matter of time." I shake my head, and yet when it happened, we were still caught off guard. "Exactly," he says. "The biggest lesson, we need to treat pandemic like we treat national security. We need a global early detection system, better vaccine distribution, and way more investment in healthcare infrastructure." I lean back. "So you think we'll be ready for the next one?" He gives a smile. "I think we have no excuse not to be." At this point, our coffee is almost gone, but I have one last question. "Bill, you've built one of the biggest companies in the world, donated billions to charity, and shaped the tech industry. But if you could go back, is there anything you'd do differently?" He pauses thinking. "I think I would have realized sooner that business success isn't everything. I was so focused on Microsoft that I didn't always make time for other things, like family, personal growth, philanthropy. It wasn't until later in life that I really saw the bigger picture." I nod. "So if young entrepreneurs are listening right now, what's your advice?" he leans in. Don't wait until you're successful to think about impact. Whether it's in tech, business, or philanthropy, ask yourself, how can I make a difference now? Bill glances at his watch. Time's up. I finish the last sip of my coffee and say, all right, final question. What's the one thing you hope people take away from Source Code? He smiles. The future is in our hands. Technology, climate, global health, we have the tools to fix things, but only if we use them wisely. I nod. All right, I think that's a good note to end on. We stand up, shake hands, and he heads out the door, probably off to his next big project. So what did you take away from this coffee chat with Bill Gates? If you haven't read Source Code yet, I highly recommend it. It's not just about tech, it's about the future we're all building together. Thanks for listening to Door Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and let's keep this conversation going. Find me on YouTube, Telegram, and Instagram. And tell me, if you could have coffee with Bill Gates, what would you ask him?